folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. Yes, we were gone last week, and I apologize for that, but we are back. We're continuing on, and we are now full-blown into the Christmas season, 2 weeks until Christmas. So there's a lot of cool, exciting things. First of all, we have a lot of cool content that we're going to be starting this week and continuing on until the end of the year, where we talk about basically the best of the year. So that's good. It's fun to see that stuff as it goes by, to look back at 2017 and see what we consider that we enjoy the best about the year. Also, there's a lot of cool games and things we'll be talking about. And in probably 3.5 weeks or so, I'll post an exact date soon. We're going to be starting the Dice Tower Kickstarter. Now, the Dice Tower Kickstarter is a way that we fund our show, and I'm mentioning it now because we don't like to talk about it all year round. I don't talk about much the rest of the year, but we talk about it now, and I just want you to get this into your mind. If you like what we're doing and want to support us, we'll be talking more about how to do that, and that will be starting in January. But right now, let's get to the news, and there's a lot of it. Okay, so first we have some stuff from Fantasy Flight, the Game of Thrones, Sands of Dorne. This is their fifth deluxe expansion for the Game of Thrones card game. So now they're going into Dorne, and hopefully it's slightly more interesting than the TV show. They're also making an expansion for Mansions of Madness, the Sanctum of Twilight. This will introduce the Order of the Silver Twilight to that game. It's been in a lot of other games. I think every game Fantasy Flight, this cultist group shows up. This will add 2 more scenarios for the electronic device that you use to play the game with, which doesn't sound like a lot, but each time they add this, they're also adding more content, more monsters, more people, etc. Those people and rooms and things like that start scattering through the other scenarios, so it kind of exponentially grows. There's a new Carcassonne iOS version coming out. There's been one out for a long time, which a lot of people really like, a great one. But this one has more of a 3D look to it. I think that they're mostly updating the look. CMON is releasing Hate on Kickstarter in January. Now you say, Vasel, this is not the Kickstarter segment. It's not, but I wanted to talk about this because this is going to be, first of all, we've been waiting for this game for a couple of years. CMON's been talking about it. It's a futuristic, tribal conflict style game. Hate, it's more of a mature adult type theme. And for that reason, says CMON, this is going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. This is interesting. Now, retail stores can still get it, but they have to back the Kickstarter at the retail level. So then they get it and they'll have it in their stores. So this is kind of interesting. We're seeing more and more companies do this. I'm not sure where I stand on this. I kind of like to see a long tail on games myself. But let's see what happens here. Upper Deck has announced Marvel Contest of Champions. They've had the Marvel license for some games, and they've made mostly Marvel Legendary with it. But now they're going to be making a game, this one here, which is you're in some battle realm, and you're going to have 12 heroes that come with this initial game. Some odd choices. I mean, I got some popular ones like Iron Man, but then I also have Guillotine, who's so new. I read Marvel to some degree, and I've never even come across her. But still, whatever. There's 12 heroes, and you are trying to get 21 points in this game that has custom dice or to knock out all the other players. I hope this is cool. If it does, it might have legs, and we'll see a lot of cool things for it. Ape Games has Petrichor coming out soon. This is a game that I saw briefly at Essen, and you're a rain cloud going around. I mean, that theme itself is fascinating to me. I like games that have unique, interesting themes, and this is one of them. Osprey has a new game coming out, Judge Dredd here. This is based on the Lost Expedition game that Osprey's already come out with. So it's also a very popular event in the Judge Dredd universe. So I don't know a lot about Judge Dredd other than the movies, but I know Lost Expedition has gotten a lot of popular buzz, and this game based on it, so hopefully it's a good combo. Rio Grande has announced a few games in Q1. I'm interested in them. I'm gonna start with the least interested and go up. First, we have Broadhorn's Early Trade on the Mississippi, where you're trading steer back and forth. Yay. Then we have Transatlantic. Boring name, but it's from the designer of Concordia. So it sounds a little bit like Concordia, a different, era and a different theme. But again, where you're making cards in your hands, like a hand building game, I think that sounds intriguing. And then Rob and Run. This is a cooperative game which you're a bunch of thieves robbing something. One person's the boss, whispering and telling or giving hints as to how he's done. Is this like Deception Murder in Hong Kong? I don't know. I also like the cover, so this one I'm hoping is really interesting. CMON has acquired the Munchkin license for board games. That's different, right? Now, some people out there are like, rah, rah, rah. This should be great news, really, because if you like Munchkin, which is fine, then this is more Munchkin goodness. If you don't like Munchkin, you probably don't like it because of the game. The Munchkin game, for myself, is not that interesting, and many other people don't like it, but a lot of people do. But CMON makes really good board games. I like the Munchkin theme. I like the artwork from John Kovalik, and also having that in some new cool board games, I'm all on board with that. Valeria has a new expansion, Agents. This is their number 3 expansion. It's going to add another line of cards at the top of Valeria. The agents that you can take that give you special abilities. WizKids has a couple games coming. Spy Tricks. This is kind of, it looks like, from what I can read, a mix of deduction and trick-taking. That's a pretty cool combo. And Let Her Go. Let Her Go, not Let Her Go. Is a speed word style game. I don't know. This one I'm not as interested in, but who knows? It might be fantastic. We know there's an expansion coming for King Domino called Age of Giants from Bruno Catala. What else do we know? I don't know. Did we know it was coming before now? No, but we knew an expansion was coming because it won the Spiel des Jahres, and Spiel des Jahres games, I think, have always gotten an expansion. That would be an interesting factoid, I guess, which games that have won the Spiel des Jahres have not gotten an expansion, but most of them always do. So I'm sure we'll see more of that. And then also this amazing expansion, Leviathan for Abyss. When I say amazing, I don't know if the expansion's any good or not, but this box cover, I didn't even know Abyss needed another expansion or people were asking for it, but I have it on my shelf right over there. It's a completely underrated game. It's amazing, and look forward to seeing an expansion for it. Folks, that's all I have in the news for you now, but I'm sure there's more stuff coming out even as I'm saying this, so we'll talk about that next week. For now, let's get to the Kickstarter news.
Happy breakfast, everybody. Crowdfunding always gets really interesting as the year comes to a close, but I definitely have a few great projects to take a look at today. And one in particular really reminded me about the purpose of crowdfunding and the value that it can add to gaming. Nemo's War 2nd Edition from Victory Point Games is a solo adventure game based on the classic novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. You'll get to plot Nautilus's course, manage your ship and crew, and conquer missions. You set the direction of your game through your motivation, and there are a lot of elements built in to add variability and keep gameplay fresh from game to game. There are many ways to lose as you play through a variety of adventures, but if you reach the finale, your points will determine the epilogue of your story. Nemo's War features stunning art by Ian O'Toole, and in this campaign, you can also get the new Nautilus Upgrades expansion that includes 12 new thematic upgrade cards like Nemo's Manifesto or Prize Crew Quarters. If you already have Nemo's War, the upgrade pack costs just $5 plus shipping, or if you want to jump on board now, you can get the game and expansion for a pledge of $59 plus shipping. Book of Dragons is more than a game, it's a game system that leverages the same deck of cards. Over 16 designers contributed a game that leverages this 40-card deck that has beautiful dragon art. The designer list is truly impressive and includes people like Martin Wallace, John Gilmore, Daniel Solis, Gil Hova, Mike Fitzgerald, and a lot more. The games range in complexity, and the campaign includes at least 18 new games, and it includes rules to convert public domain games using this deck. The stunning art in Book of Dragons is by Kareem Bayat, and you can get the deck for $10 and just download the rules, but the $18 pledge level includes a nice box and printed rules for all the games. Mythic Arcana is a card and dice game in which you are creating a winning pantheon from a variety of mythologies. The first player to gather gods from each of the 5 domains wins the game. You gather these gods through dice rolls, but each card has an ability that may work to thwart opponents, protect yourself, or manipulate those dice, and that's really where the heart of the game beats. Mythic Arcana caught my eye as it's designed by Tony Go, who also designed the excellent solo play game called Deep Space D6. Mythic Arcana is a quick-playing game that uses tarot-sized cards that really lets the Tim McBurney art shine. You can get a copy of Mythic Arcana for a pledge of $32 plus shipping. And last but not least, Potlatch, a card game about Coast Salish economics, is a game by native scholars and gamers about historical Northwest Native American society and economics. A potlatch is the traditional ceremonial sharing of resources and knowledge among the community, and they reflect the idea that distributing valuables is a demonstration of the host's achievement and status. And gameplay revolves around the idea of playing gift cards that match need cards to meet obligation levels. But those levels grow as play continues, and players really work to gain status points. While the designers are all gamers in their own right, they're also tribal members with deep academic credentials who created a game that really meets the K-12 educational standards. You can get a copy of Potlatch for a pledge of $15 plus shipping, or for $30 plus shipping, your pledge will get you and a youth center a copy of the game. Alrighty, that's all I've got for you this episode. And to everyone who was able to join us on the Dice Tower cruise, I just wanted to say a quick thank you. It was an incredible pleasure to be able to be on a boat and playing games with you all. And thank you so much for making it a memorable and wonderful experience. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Hello there, Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, welcoming you to another installment of Board Games Throughout History, where we take a look at games that are either very, very old or games that have had a significant impact on history. At least, that's what I keep telling myself about this series. But as I started doing the research into the game that we're going to talk about today, a game that has been in the background of my gaming universe for as long as I can remember, I discovered a shocking secret about it that I didn't actually realize. It doesn't actually exist. Because it turns out that today's historical game, Mancala, isn't actually a game after all. There's no actual game called Mancala. It's actually just a rule set, a mechanism like rock, paper, scissors, or I split, you choose, or roll and move, or muting your phone when expecting a call from someone that you owe money to. Yeah, to my surprise, it turns out that Mancala is actually just a generic name for an entire family of two-player games that share the mechanism of moving groups of pieces from one location to another in a staggered manner. Hundreds of games incorporating variations of the Mancala mechanism have been played all over the world for hundreds of years. I don't care if you believe me or not, because I came here today prepared to show you the truth as well. Because among the earliest surviving examples of a Mancala game are fragments of a pottery board and several rock cuts that can be found in Eritrea and Ethiopia dating back to between 6th and 7th century AD. Of course, I don't expect you to be convinced by that, but try this on for size, Dr. Trousers. Some of the most popular Mancala games over the centuries have been Bio, which originates from Kenya and Zanzibar, played on a 4x8 board, Amweso, originating from Uganda and played on a 4x8 board, and Kala, which is the rule set that we're all probably most familiar with, which is usually included with the modern editions of the game that are marketed as Mancala. And some other recent modern board games that have incorporated the Mancala mechanism that I've enjoyed include Five Tribes and Gold West. But enough about me. What about you? What Mancala-inspired board games are at the top of your list of favorite games? Well, let me know by picking up your thoughts and then strategically dropping them into the comments below. Because that's that's a Mancala joke. Because I had absolutely no idea how to end this episode, so I thought I would do that because it was either that or call back Kevin, which I better do. Just 47 messages. God, it's been 3 minutes. How did you even? Looks like I'm gonna have to fake my own death again.
So in this segment, we're going to go over some of my favorite Kickstarter videos. Hi, I'm Gary Pope from Late to the Table, and this is what to check out when we go on the internet, check out some of the most interesting videos, articles, forums, and stuff like that on the internet, and I suggest for you to check them out. So let's go ahead and start. So before we start, there's some things that I really look for in a Kickstarter video. And when I'm talking about videos, I'm talking about the main one that's featured on the front of the Kickstarter. That's the very first thing you usually see. All the other videos that are in the campaign, stuff like that, these rules don't apply to at all. The first rule is that the video has to have a short play time. I'm talking 2 minutes or under. If it's anything longer than that, in my opinion, you're really going to get a lot of skip get views. And the second thing is that the video has to be either funny or entertaining in some way, shape, or form. Another thing is that you actually tell people how the game works. You don't have to go into the details of the rules or anything specific, but just the basics. And the last thing, which is also probably the thing that annoys me the most by far, is don't include your backstory in that main video. I'm not saying don't have it in your Kickstarter at all, but just not on that main first video. And first thing we have on the list is a general list. It's actually anything that Shut Up and Sit Down is involved with. That includes both the metagame and monikers. And this is actually a pretty obvious one. It's nothing different that you see in any of the other videos, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. That's a great thing. And the next group of videos are the Tuesday Night Game Kickstarter videos. These games include 2 Rooms and a Boom, the Necroboomicon expansion along with it, and World Championship Russian Roulette. And in every single one of them, they carry along a similar style video in every single one that goes across it. These guys even have an intro for every single one of the videos, and it's the same style intro every single time, so it's a running gag almost too. And then we also have Loaded Dice. Now the thing I love about the Loaded Dice Kickstarter is that it's a prime example that literally anyone can make a really good Kickstarter video. There's almost no excuse. They did not have the best production value, but everything was very well scripted and very well acted out. And it was like almost a stereotypical so bad it's good infomercial sort of style. And when I say it's bad, I'm not saying it's actually bad. It's just like goofy. That's what it is. And the last one for this week is going to be Box Thrown. Now what's great about Box Thrown is that it accomplishes a lot of the things that I mentioned in my rules. It's a very short video. I believe it's around 2 minutes if I'm not mistaken. And it's also very humorous throughout the entire thing. Now I'm also not going to sit here and say that I got every single joke, every single reference, but there are so many quips in that video that you're going to find something funny. And that was another episode of What to Check Out. Be sure to check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and suggest some of your favorite Kickstarter videos yourself. Also in the comments below, let me know what some of your Kickstarter videos. Next week, I'm actually going to be posting some of my favorite Kickstarter videos of all time. These are just some that I actually like a lot. And I'm Gary Pope from Late to the Table, and I hope you're enjoying your breakfast.
So what's coming out from the Dice Tower this week? Well, I already mentioned we're going to start by talking about top 10s over the course of this year. They're not going to be all this week. We're going to spread them out over the next few weeks, but you'll definitely see our top 10 games of 2017 coming your way. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing that, and we have other reviews that we're going to be doing. I'm not sure all the reviews we're going to do, but I will be taking a look at Cursed Court, the new expansion for Dominion Nocturne, Cat Lady, and some other games as we go through. So we'll be posting those. There'll be all sorts of different things, some other reviews from our reviewers. Also, as long as the footage worked out okay, you'll see our live show that we did on the cruise ship. So that will be posted this week too. And I say this often, but I really do mean it. If you're looking for more and interesting content to listen to, podcast-wise, the Dice Tower Network has a ton of great podcasts in it, and they all have a lot of stuff going on in them. So I definitely want to encourage you to go to dicetowernetwork.com and listen to some of these great podcasts. All right, let's keep moving.
I can't just keep doing these segments over and over. I can't do these anymore. I can't do them. You see there. What?
Two brothers set loose in a thrift store. This is Thrift Store Throwbacks.
All right, so I've been looking for Mike for a few days now. I haven't been able to find him. I'm starting to get really worried about him. He has these freakouts sometimes. This one feels different. I'm scouring the streets of LA looking for him. This is not the Mike I know, and it's, yeah, I don't like it. All right, I see someone right here. I'm asking to see if this guy see my brother. Hold on. Sir? Excuse me, sir. Hi. Have you seen my brother? He's a gentleman, long, beautiful hair. What's up, bro? How you doing, man? Yeah. Jeez, what happened to your hair? Nah, dude. Long hair guy. That was old Mike. New Mike here. Huh. God, new Mike? What are you talking about? Yours Mike. I had to evolve the new Mike.
Like, Mike evolved like a
Just
Pokemon.
get in the car. Just get in the car. We'll talk about this later. Just get in the car. Cool.
Yeah. Come on, get in the car.
New Mike takes cars.
Yeah, come on. New Mike. We'll talk about this later. Let's get you home.
This is the car?
Come on. Just get a frame. Stand here. Gosh, we're just reviewing board games. Just sit here. Okay.
Got a cool sticky hand, dude.
Put that away. So that was
Middle-aged Chris. What? Put your collar down. What is his face? Look at yourself. You look like an idiot. Where's Mike? Where's real Mike? Where's the old Mike? Okay, I don't know, man. I don't know how to. I don't know who to be. What do you mean? Just be Mike. No, but I chopped my hair off, man. These people aren't gonna like me anymore. They're not here for your hair, dude. They don't care. That's the only thing they liked about me. No, that's pretty much everyone's least favorite thing about you. Just be Mike. Okay. God. No. It's just me. There's been no new Mike. There's no old Mike. There's just Mike, all right? I just really needed to get a haircut, and maybe this was a way to do it because I can't just cut my hair normally. I want to do something to grab attention, and maybe that's okay. Until next time, we will see you at the hair salon, bruh. See you there, quaff, quaff.
Hey, this is Mike with Board Game Makeover. I feel great. Why do I feel great? Because I just got back from the Dice Tower Cruise 2017. It was amazing, my first cruise ever. And I got to play lots of games with great people. I had met so many wonderful people. And one of the games I played on the Dice Tower Cruise is called Century Spice Road. I love this game. It's a lot like Splendor. It's a great gateway game, but it's also a game about math. And one of the things I kept thinking about was, am I making a good trade here? Am I not making a good trade? Because as you know, there are 4 color spices: yellow, red, green, and brown. I took each of the 4 spices and gave them a value. Yellow being 1, red being 2, green being 4, and brown being 8. In the game, those 4 colors represent the value going up twice as much each time. I put all the cards into the spreadsheet, and I put the values of what I had to give up and what I got. Based on the calculations from the spreadsheet, this card gave me the best value. 3 greens for 3 brown cubes gave me a net of 12. Positive, that's good. The worst cards, you lost a value of 2. So it gave you a negative 2. That would be 2 black cubes for 2 green and 3 red, and 1 black cube for 3 red. The best value point cards, there was 4 of them that gave you 0. What that means is that what you paid in spice cubes, you got back in the point cubes based on the value, the face value of the point card itself. For example, this one cost you, it was worth 10 points, and it cost you 5 red. Well, the 5 red in the calculation are worth 2 points each. So that comes out even. That's actually a good value. You're paying for what you get. What are the worst point cards to get? Worst meaning value, not necessarily worst because you got these ones. This card here is the absolute worst when it comes to trade value for what you get. You actually lose 20 points because there are 5 brown cubes and 5 times 8 is 40, but it's only worth 20. So the best high value cards, this one here is worth 16, where you have to give up a yellow, 3 red, a green, and a brown cube. So Century Spice Road is a wonderful, fun game full of math. And if you can figure out ahead of time which cards give you the best value, you can try to get them. But will it help you win every time? No. Will it help you make good values and good trades? Yes. But you still have to work with the cards that you get in order to get that engine going. After this episode, my brain hurts. But thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. I'll see you next time.
So what do you give someone who plays RPGs? Hi, I'm Chris Renshaw from the Boards and Swords podcast. Welcome to Role Playing. It's the holiday times and everyone's out shopping for various gifts to give people. But what if someone plays role-playing games? If you're not familiar with the area, then you may have trouble finding something that they might enjoy. So don't worry, I'm here to help you out. So right here, I'm going to list a couple of things that you could give to someone that plays RPGs in your life. First idea that you could do is to give them some, maybe like an indie RPG, something that's not a real big one. This works especially if you've got someone that's playing a lot of D&D and Pathfinder, but really hasn't branched out from there. For instance, something you might want to try is Dungeon Crawl Classics. But this is a game that harkens back to kind of old school D&D. The second thing that you can always give any sort of RPGer is dice. Any sort of dice. Large amounts of dice, small amounts of dice. weird looking dice, normal looking dice, doesn't matter, dice, 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 dice. The last thing that you can give, and I'm stealing this from a co-host that had this idea, the last thing you can give them is game time. Just the offer of, hey, can I play in an RPG? Or even better, if you know enough about them and you're willing to run one for somebody else, those will mean the world more than any material gift that you could give. So there you go. What are some other gift ideas that you could give to someone that plays a lot of RPGs? Let me know down in the comments below. And make sure you follow me on all the different social media and let me know what games you're playing during your holiday times. In the meantime, may all your hits be crits.
Hey folks, this past week we finished up our pandemic live playthroughs. We were on a Dice Tower cruise, so we want to have some content for y'all, and so that's what we posted this past week. And if you go through and watch that, first of all, don't unless you've played through the game or something because there's spoilers. But you'll notice that we, first of all, I think the most important thing is we had a great time. We enjoyed the whole playthrough. There was a moment where I was not too pleased with things that went on, but for the most part, we enjoyed the playthrough. And we also made rules mistakes. Now, rules mistakes are a big deal, right? Rules mistakes certainly caused a lot of people to get upset with the third season of Tabletop. Rules mistakes get us in trouble all the time on our live playthroughs. And rules mistakes are something that I would wager pretty much everyone does all the time. It's really difficult to write rule books for these games. It's even more difficult sometimes to decipher those rule books and figure out how to play a game. Even if you're some people like us. I'm pretty good at reading rule books. I read through a lot of rule books, but I still make a lot of mistakes. Now, I want to clarify that what I'm talking about today is not talking about making rules mistakes and then reviewing. But I will briefly touch on that. For the vast majority of my reviewing, there have been times where I've occasionally made minor rules mistakes. Like I'll say you draw 5 cards out of 6 or things like that. Sometimes it's because of things I've missed, or sometimes it's because I just misspoke in the video or I wasn't clear or things like that. But regardless, there has never been there's been a few times, Tricarion was an example, there's been other games where I made a huge rules mistake that changed the way the game played, and then I went back and tried to fix it. And I don't think using a rules mistake, that if it's really egregious, we should go back and make sure we play the game right to see if we like it or not. If it's a minor rule, I can guarantee you it does not change how the game plays or someone's opinion on it. And you say you should strive not to make rules mistakes. I agree. We really should strive to do that, and I try to. We try not to make mistakes. Now, you saw a lot of mistakes if you watched the Pandemic Legacy Season 2 playthrough. You saw those mistakes as we made them. It's very easy to see mistakes when other people are doing things, which is why when you get a book and you find an error in it, you're like, how did they possibly miss this error? Having worked in a publishing house, I have seen every aspect of that house. I've seen where they make the book, they print the book, and at every step there's proofreading. And if there's proofreading at every step of the way and it still gets through, then if there's proofreading at one step for us playing it and you watching, it's easy for a mistake to get through. And you say I've seen some people call into our professionalism and stuff, and the fact is we just sometimes make mistakes. But I think what's really important is, did we have fun? And the answer is yes. Now, did our rules mistakes make us win and or lose a few games along the way? Yes, but at the same time, it was a cooperative game, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. No one is waking up at night going, oh, if we had only played differently, I would have won. No, we all won and we all lost. And we did make some tactical, strategical mistakes in that game, and sometimes we did what we thought was best to win and to play through the game, and our choices weren't always wise. But I think this has a bigger, wider role. What if you play a rule wrong in your game group? How big of a deal is that? I think, and I would posit, that it shouldn't be a big deal. I'm not saying to break rules. No, if you find out a rule's been played wrong, you should try to rectify it, try to fix it, and play it correctly in the future. Unless, of course, your whole group likes playing that rule wrong, which makes it then a house rule. For example, in Carcassonne, the rules say draw a tile at the beginning of your turn. I have always played that, draw a tile at the end of your turn. And house rules are fine as long as everyone agrees to them. The only problem with house rules is you got to remember when you go to another group and you play there that they're probably going to want to play with the rules as written. And if you want to change something, you need to make sure it's okay with them first. So if you find out that you've made a mistake, that can be problematic. Now, a rules lawyer. Now, Jason Levine, and we call him a rules lawyer to some degree. A rules lawyer has a negative connotation in RPGs. That's the person who goes in and they find every way in the rule to help them win. But a good rules lawyer, which is what Jason is, will not only find ways that they could possibly win, but they'll also point out when they can't win. So someone who's a good rules lawyer will say, look, I took 5 points here, but I shouldn't have got those points because of this, and this. That's great. And there's people who are really good at taking rules and deciphering them and finding out exactly what's wrong. And we're glad to have them in the group, but you should never let your love of the rules get above your love of fun. Fun should always supersede rules. Now, rules give us a structure to have fun in. And I think we should strive to stay within those rules as much as possible. And I'm not promoting game anarchy here at all. But I do wonder sometimes that people get a burr in their saddle over a mistake, and sometimes it's a mistake someone else made. So going back to the pandemic legacy thing, you see us make a mistake. You're like, rah, and you get physically upset over that. Why? We had a good time. When we found out we were making one of the errors, we fixed it as soon as we could, and we still had a good time. And there have been times where I fixed a rule and I was like, wow, the game is much better now. Although there's also been times where we found a rule we were playing wrong and I was like, oh, game's not quite as good with that rules change. But the fact is I think it's fun. So I'm not saying all this to justify ourselves. Although I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna keep doing live plays and keep doing things, and you're gonna keep seeing mistakes as time goes by. We don't mean to make them, but they're going to happen. But I'm talking about in your own play groups. Yeah, if you find out a rule's been that played wrong, you should mention it, but you need to do so kindly, and you need to do so in such a way that doesn't destroy the fun of everyone else around you. I hope I got these rules right. Did I?
Hello guys, I am Eleni or Cardboard Rhino and welcome to Rhino Says Yes. Today I have a great new game to suggest, Azul. In Azul, you are a tiling artist decorating walls in a palace in Portugal. The players compete for points, placing tiles on their walls. Each round starts with the factory offer. In your turn, you choose one of the factory displays and get all the tiles of the same color. The remaining tiles go to the center of the table. Instead of one of the factory displays, in your turn, you can also get tiles from the center of the table. When a player selects tiles, she places them in one of these lines, one by one, from right to left. All the tiles in each line have to be of the same color. If you have taken more tiles of the same color than there is space in a line, then the leftover tiles fall on the floor and you place them on the floor line, which gives you negative points. Then, when there are no more tiles in the center of the table, we do the wall tiling. You start from top to bottom, and for each line that is complete, you move the rightmost tile to the space of the same color in the corresponding line of your wall, and you immediately score points for that tile. The remaining tiles of that line return to the game box, and the non-completed lines stay as they are. You want to place your tiles in a way that they're linked together with other tiles horizontally or vertically, because that gives you more points, as does placing all 5 tiles of one color. The game ends when a player has completed a horizontal line on her wall and players count their points. Azul is one of these rare games that are enjoyable for any number of players that it says on the box. It's a great 2-player game and it's a great 4-player game as well, and it's highly replayable. There is lots of player interaction through the puzzle of choosing and laying the tiles, and there are many different tactics, which makes it a very good abstract game. Plus, it's really pretty. So Rhino says yes to Azul. Give it a go and I'll see you next week.
Hello everyone, my name is Annette and you may know me as Netters Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Favelas. So Favelas is a tile placement game, but the interesting part is that you're not expanding the board by laying tiles beside one another, but you're layering them on top of one another. So let me show you a little bit about the game and what I like about it. So here you have the setup of Favelas. Every player is going to have their own Favelas player board, which is different from other players. We can take any one of these 3 tiles and place it onto our boards, or we can take one of the face down tiles in this round, or even one of these single tiles. At the beginning of the round, you will roll the dice, and that will determine the value of those colors. So whenever you place it, you can place it on colors that are not of the same type, or even on colors that are on the same type. For example, if I place the yellow on the yellow, then I'll be able to modify the council die value. I can change that 5 either into a 6 or a 4. Whenever you take one of these tiles, you'll be able to place it down anywhere as well. Whenever you do cover up one of the same color type, then you'll be able to manipulate the clear die value. Eventually, you'll reach the bottom of the stack. You don't necessarily know when the year end will come, but as soon as you see this tile, then that will mean the end of the round has happened. You will end up scoring based on the values and the number of those colors you have on your own player board. After 3 years, whoever has the most points wins the game. So as you can see in Favelas, the complexity is not in the rules itself, but in the gameplay. The interesting decisions that come about are what makes the game very fun, because you're constantly deciding whether to change the value of certain colors or to place more or less colors of a certain type. And that's what makes this game so interesting. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hey gang, and welcome to Tantrum House HQ. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Ryan Pills, and today on the Throwdown, we've got House of Borgia in the red corner.
And Spoils of War in the blue corner. Spoils of War from Arcane Wonders is a Viking-themed dice and card game. The Vikings have just returned from a raid and now have to decide how to split their treasures. Players roll dice behind their Viking screens, and then using a liar's dice mechanic, they go around the table upping the ante. When someone calls out another player as a liar, the rest of the players pick their sides, place their bets, and then everyone reveals their dice. All the players on the winning side then take turns collecting their spoils based on their bets. At the end of 9 rounds, players determine their scores based on their gold and the sets of cards that they have collected.
House of Borgia from Gamelin Games is a dice game about the historical machinations behind electing the Pope. Every round, players will perform the classic liar's dice mechanic of bidding and calling bluffs, but with a twist. Every time a player bids and he is not caught bluffing, he gets to take the action associated with the dice faces he bid. Once one of the players runs out of dice, the game ends and the player whose cardinal has the most influence wins, as long as he hasn't been burned by a rumor.
All right, so we're looking at 2 different liar's dice types of games. Are you ready for the throwdown?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. All right. 3, 2, 1, throwdown.
It was a little bit of a toss-up for me.
Yeah.
I think House of Borgia wins overall for me because the gameplay appeals to me so much more, but I'm really bad at keeping secret who I'm going for, and in that case, I would go for Spoils of War, and that's why I was kind of torn up between them.
Yeah, I like this one. I think this one feels a little bit more party game. I'll agree that has maybe a little more strategy. There's a lot to keep track of. Like, it's a small shield. Each dice has an action. I feel like I have to stare at it the whole time. This one plays pretty quick. It's a lot of fun. It plays a bunch of people, so I don't know. Spoils of War, House of Borgia, it's up to you. Thanks for joining us this time. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Hi, Mike Delisio from Solomode Games. Periodically, people will ask me about my experience with print and play games, probably because there's a pretty thriving community of solitaire gamers who are big into print and play games. It's not really something I've gotten into very much, but there is one particular designer whose work has inspired me to do a little bit of crafting, so let's go take a look at a couple of games by Todd Sanders. First game I want to talk about is Mr. Cabbagehead's Garden Game, a solitaire game where you are playing as Mr. Cabbagehead and you want to be left in peace to grow an award-winning vegetable garden without being bothered by your meddlesome neighbors. So you're going to be placing out different produce into a grid, manipulating them in such a way that you can have the best garden, hopefully an award-winning garden that's going to be based upon different placement of the different types of produce, different patterns, and things along those lines. And to craft this game, I simply printed off the files on a color printer, placed them into card sleeves. These little tokens are just paper as well. I think I used cardstock on those. Very simple process. I'm certainly not an expert. I just had to use some scissors and card sleeves, and that was about it. What drew me to this game was the incredible art. It's just beautiful. Apparently, this game has actually been picked up by a publisher and is going to actually be produced. That's pretty exciting. Next, we have Odin Quest, a game that was such an interesting looking game and themed game that I went ahead and actually got a deck box for this. I supplied my own dice. And these counters actually came from the designer himself on BGG. I contacted him and bought these counters and cubes and got the cards printed professionally from Printer Studio through his store there. And they're just beautiful cards, incredible art on these cards. And that's really what drew me to this game to begin with. It's just such a beautiful aesthetic to it, and quite an interesting game too. So if either of these look interesting to you or any other print and play games, you can find a lot of resources on Board Game Geek. Check it out, see if maybe there's something there that looks of interest to you. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
Hi there, my name is Niels from The Best and the Worst, and today we are talking about Brains. Brains, I think, is only available in Germany so far, so keep an eye on that one here. And let's jump into my favorite part and the thing I don't like too much on it.
My favorite part of Brains, this solitaire puzzle, it's a one-player game, it's a solitaire puzzle, is simply you increase the level of difficulty, but it's a solitaire game, and really it's really getting iffy when you come to these hardcore levels. That is brilliant, that is pretty good. And after this 50 different riddles, it's over. And that's the worst part. So the worst part is it's over after you solved all the 50 different riddles. So for me it was roughly 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours to solve all of them, and then the game was over. It's nice, it's just $10, but 4 hours for $10. The good part is also, and I wanted to mention a second good part, is you can put that all back into the box and give it to your friend, and they can have 4 hours of fun as well. Brains, and this means magical potion. This is my best and the worst for Brains, right?
That was my favorite part of Brains, and the not so much part is easy to solve, right? See you next time, here next week on the Board Game Breakfast. My name is Niels, and bye-bye.
Hi everyone. As some of you might know by now, I work in theater, and the last couple of weeks have been crazy because I've been working on creating a new show called Hotel. I'll be touring with it for the next 2 years in the Netherlands. In the summer, our stage designer showed us plans for this huge elevator he was planning on building and having right center stage, and we could project visuals on it, and that was the beginning. From that moment on, costume designs, set dressers, they all have been working tirelessly, and of course we have been rehearsing. Although everything we do does not have a script, because everything we do, we completely improvise. But we need to create conditions that help us make a new, funny show that makes sense every night. Well, we premiered last week and the critics were very excited, saying stuff like verbal acrobatics of the highest tier. Well, that's a good thing. This week I am playing a game that is all about making a new show. This week I am playing Shakespeare. In Shakespeare, players are theater managers who have 6 days to come up with a whole new show and hope to get the most prestige when the Queen comes to visit. In the game, you need to recruit actors, set dressers, costume designers, assistants, and each day these people will work for you. What will make your play better than the others? Have the best actors, or maybe invest in a beautiful scenery, or maybe some jewelry? The gameplay in Shakespeare is very smooth, and it really gives you a good idea on what you need to do when you make a play. Just don't forget that everyone that is involved needs to get paid. So, if you are in the Netherlands, check out my playlist on opsterkwater.nl. And who knows, I might be playing in your city, and we might play a game before or after, maybe even Shakespeare. My name is Dave Luzin. Thanks for watching.
Now, I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a... Never mind. But something else I don't know is that when a game or a book or a movie or whatever gets a whole mess of hype, I just suddenly become completely disinterested in it. Now, this isn't something new to me. I've always done this. When I was a kid, my favourite musician was Tom Waits, and my favourite TV show was Frasier. But sometimes I kind of miss out on stuff because sometimes the hype is there because it's actually good, apart from Stranger Things. It's just one long montage. Now, among the list of things I've been proven wrong on are The Beatles, American Horror Story, and Terraforming Mars. It's pretty good, isn't it? It's a good game, this one. But hype about Scythe and Blood Rage and Seventh Continent and Gloomhaven and Pandemic Legacy and Santorini and Mechs vs. Minions and loads of them is why I've never actually played any of those games. You'd think I would have, but I haven't. And if I'm being honest, it's probably why I was drawn to heavy, dry Euros out of the gate. It's so dry. But again and again, I'm open to being proven wrong, because Terraforming Mars, which I was against because of the hype, is actually one of my favourite games probably, so in my face.
And that's it for another board game breakfast. Okay, a little bit later today, I'll be doing a live Q&A, so check our channel for that. We'll be trying to do some other live stuff as the week goes by. We're going to be scheduling around other things that we're doing, so keep an eye out for maybe some live play stuff. And the Dice Tower tonight, you'll see one of those this coming Wednesday, where Eric and I will be doing Dice Tower tonight, so that will be a lot of fun. And we got some cool podcasts and things coming your way. So I'm very excited about all that. Now, last board game breakfast, the one that was 2 weeks ago, I asked you guys for ideas for new segments and things. I am looking all of those over. I'm thinking about them, and I got a lot of good ideas. So you'll start seeing those pop up maybe in 2018, maybe even sooner than that. We'll see. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it every single time. If you came on a cruise, thank you. We had a great time. We will be publicly announcing our dates for the next cruise very soon. And keep an eye out for that because it's already over half full from people who came on the last cruise. But anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower Board Game Breakfast.